Well, doesn't it feel so good to be back? It's the Northern Super League presented by BMO. We are live from Calgary, Alberta at McMahon Stadium for Calgary Wild FC hosting Halifax Tides FC. My name is Ashley Docking. I'm joined by former Canadian Youth National Team player Jessica Lisi, and we are so glad to be here for this rematch. And I know it sounds strange to say at the beginning of the season, but the last time these two teams matched up, it was Calgary who put a hurting on Halifax 4-1 the final. And part of the reason Calgary is unbeaten in their last three, Jess, is this woman right here, Maggie Doherty-Howard.
Doherty-Howard has been a consistent star for them. She's crafty, she has that high IQ, but most of all, she brings that big leadership presence to the middle of the park on both sides of the ball. She brings that aggressiveness and the energy, and she keeps that standard for the rest of her team. And I think not only that, but her delivery on set pieces is huge for their success as well. So I definitely think that she's a player that has to step up today and really bring this team together, especially with players not being available because of the international break.
I don't think redemption is too hard of a word to use here when it comes to the Halifax Tides, and it's Sid Kennedy who is somebody who, although the results have not been there for Halifax, she has been forcing the issue offensively.
From an individual standpoint, Sid Kennedy has been huge for this team. A big bright spot. I think that she's a shifty player. She is very good 1v1. She loves to drive end line and cut that ball back, and just is a big attacking presence for this Halifax side.
And it's Halifax just in general who has had struggles as of late, right? They're trying to solve these issues, and it's not going to be something that's easy to do. Their head coach, Lewis Page, says he feels like they're finding it, but it's a lot of the main issues in terms of the attack that have had them not really on the front foot when they needed to be.
Yeah, they are definitely lacking the clinical edge that is needed for them right now. They have great build-up, but as you can see here, they're not doing too well when you look at stats. They're ranked 6th in the NSL in all of these, and I think that comes down to the mentality in that final third and being able to, put things in the past. You're not having the best game. You haven't finished that opportunity earlier. You just let it go. You move on, and I think their ability to bounce back and that resilience is lacking a little bit right now. So just having to focus inside that 18 and put things home.
Ranked last in the NSL in chances created. Shot conversion in particular is something that we'll be watching as you take a look at all of these fans showing out for the Wild. It's 23 degrees in Calgary. The sun is shining. It's been 10 days since we had NSL action. We can't wait for things to get going, and we'll be back in just a moment. McMahon Stadium is the scene of Week 8 of NSL action presented by BMO. And let's get right into the starting 11. Things have changed for these two teams after this international break. You have players that got in really early this morning, late yesterday. And so Calgary in particular, their center backs, Sonia Tilly James getting her first start. That is a big change for Calgary.
I think this is a moment for both of those players in James and Sonia to step up. It's not easy to step into that center back role and bring that leadership and be communicative, but I think that this is where it's a big moment for them. I also think Tegan Stewart getting the start is great. She's a young player. She's done well with the moments when she comes into the game, so I'm excited to see what she brings to their attack today.
Maggie Doherty-Howard was kind enough to join us pitch side to talk about the matchup and what Calgary plans to do to repeat the performance that they had last time they faced Halifax. Maggie, it's great to talk to you this evening. You scored a goal in your last match against Halifax. It was a 4-1 win. I don't expect things to go the same here today, but what do you anticipate in this rematch?
Yeah, I think from our perspective, we're looking to kind of take the same approach we did in the last game, which was getting off to a really strong start, being on the front foot. And I think that is how we want to head into the game again today, being really aggressive right from the first whistle and imposing our style into the game and then settling in. I think we did that really well the first time around. So hopefully just being able to start with that energy again tonight.
One of the things that your coach Lydia Bedford talked to us about this week was that she's really liked your team's additional jolt towards the end of the match, the last 15, 20 minutes. Where do you guys get this energy and what spurs it on?
Yeah, I think that's a huge credit to the depth we have in the squad. Whenever we make subs in the game, they always come on and make a positive change. And I think that change that you see from the sides is due to the energy that those players bring on the pitch. So I think that's been huge in our success this season. And I think it's something we're going to continue to lean into. And that helps to separate us from other teams at the end of games.
Well, we look forward to seeing it in action here tonight. Thank you so much for your time, Maggie, and good luck.
Thanks.
The Tides making the trip to Calgary looking for redemption, and their lineup does look a little bit different. Specifically, Annika Leslie, she is also making her first start, playing her first NSL action for Halifax.
It's exciting to see that she's back in the lineup for them. I think that this is a player that can help them on both sides of the ball. Lewis Page has spoken a lot about wanting to get those two fullbacks really involved in the attack, and I think that she can potentially help with that. I also think with her appearance, we're seeing Lemire move into the midfield. She's definitely a player that can play in that more of a holding role and be able to control the dynamic for this side, specifically when they will be outnumbered in the middle of the park.
Speaking of the midfield, Sid Kennedy was kind enough to speak with us before the game, and she joins us pitch side. Sydney, thank you so much for joining us. Now, obviously, Calgary overwhelmed you guys in your opener. How much have you been looking forward to this rematch?
Yeah, I think we got a little unlucky in the first game, and I think it wasn't totally representative of us as a team and our potential. And I think we've grown so much since that first game. We've come in every day with a purpose, and circled this one on our calendars for sure to get a little bit of redemption.
We love to hear it. And to your point, the last 4 games, you've only allowed 1 goal against on average. But how can your attack support that defensive effort that's keeping you guys in games?
Yeah, I think we've really put our head down in practice and worked on that. Us as forwards, we're definitely trying to put the ball in the back of the net. Like you said, our defense has done an amazing job at keeping it out of our net. And I think once we can put it together, we're getting really close to breaking through. And we're looking to score some goals and bring a win home, especially for our fans. I know they deserve it just as much as we do.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks so much for your time today, Sid, and good luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Everybody is ready to face off here in Calgary at McMahon Stadium, the site of the 1988 Winter Olympics is Calgary, Alberta. So a lot going on here today. You see the fans filing in to the 7 p.m. local time start, and we are off. You have the visiting Tide wearing the white jerseys with the purple shorts, and the hometown Calgary are in the purple kits. And one of the things that Calgary wanted to do, and we talked to Maggie Doherty-Howard about it early, was get off to a good start, and here they go, broken up nicely by the defense for Halifax. But both of these teams hungry, Jess, to be in this match here today.
I think that the one thing that both these teams have in common right now is that missing final piece. They're doing so great to build up. We've seen them be compact in defense, but it's just that final cross and being able to finally get it into the back of the net. So I think today we're going to see 2 hungry sides on the front foot, and we're already seeing it this early on.
That ball dribbles into the box, and it's handled cleanly by Addison Wickers. Quick pressure coming from Calgary. They're not going to let up. Grace Storty wins that battle, takes a peek into the box. That cross goes on goal. Erin McLeod getting tested early. McLeod quickly gets it up to Marika Gay, and now it's Halifax looking to go back the other way. And talking to head coach for Calgary, Lydia Bedford, earlier this week, she said the one thing that she feels like Halifax does present a problem in, or something that they have been good in, is those transition opportunities.
And I think someone like Miller is very much at the top of that. She is on her front foot constantly. She's very aware of where the ball is moving and where it's going to go before it goes there. And because of that, she's able to pounce. Sid Kennedy is another one that has showcased her abilities to read the game well and be able to step in there and create those transitional moments for them.
That's going to be the first goal kick here in this match. It's very early as we get a look at Lydia Bedford, and I asked her, what did you guys do with the international break? And her and the coaching staff, they went to Tofino and they went surfing in Vancouver. They had an extra little layover and did a little team bonding for the coaching staff.
You sound like you wanted to be involved.
I did. Who was your tour guide? Who did you rent your boards from? But it was something that I think everyone always needs in these instances. We're a quarter through the NSL season early on, and I still asked her what was on your mind in terms of your team, however, because football never sleeps. You always, as a coach in particular, are always working on crafting and thinking about the things that you can do better, and to your point, it is being a little bit more clinical with the opportunities that they're getting.
I think just to point out too, Ashley, you're seeing Doherty Howard drop into that space where we saw Savitsky really live when they played against Montreal, who was also in a 4-4-2, excuse me. She's able to sit in that space that is right behind Miller and Nakamura, but also right in front of Lemire and Creighton, and it causes issues. Someone has to deal with her. So that's where Miller and Nakamura are going to have to be aware and play in that pendulum, so she's not able to get on the ball and start to play for this side.
Here we go. Sarita Thornton gets the ball into the box. A shot on goal goes way over the crossbar, but that's Tegan Stewart, and you can tell that she has a nose for goal. She did not hesitate to get that one off.
We spoke about her and the excitement that she brings to this attack for them. She's a young, bright star, and I think that you want that confidence in those players. You want her to be able to look up and try it, and she just wasn't able to get her body fully over the ball there to get it on frame, but you want that. You want the confidence of her to be able to take it, especially this early on.
Halifax head coach Lewis Page takes a seat, and speaking of confidence, he says he thinks that's something that his team has been wavering on a little bit. Liked their performance against Vancouver, but got 2 quick goals scored against them, and then maybe didn't respond to that adversity in a way that he would have liked, and even they would have liked. So calling it a learning opportunity as they search their way through the beginning of this season for their first win. Halifax 0-4-1 so far on the season. Sonia, she'll cycle the ball back to Stephanie Bukovic, who was on international duty with the Croatian national team. Getting one start, it was a loss against Czechia, 5-0, but returned and now is here playing in this game, backstopping Calgary. And, with this team specifically, 2 clean sheets in the last 3 matches, Calgary unbeaten in 3. Sonia looks up and she'll try to play that ball long over the back line of Halifax. It's broken up, but still retained by Calgary.
One thing that this Calgary side has also done well is creating that variety and build out and attack. And you saw just there Robertson coming out wide and Green going inside to let Sonia hit that long ball out into Gray, and I think that that's what makes them great, their ability to find the variety and attack, the movement off the ball, and being able to get on it, and the mentality to want the ball. I think that that's one thing this Calgary team has really grown into as the season has progressed.
Allie Green returns that ball to Sonia Green, one of the New Zealand national team players whose flight was actually delayed, rescheduled, and they were supposed to be back ready for this match yesterday afternoon. Instead, they got in early hours of the morning trying to figure out this flight situation. So everyone trying to figure out what's best for their team in terms of fitness to be able to play in this match, and looking like we potentially might see some of Calgary's mainstays potentially in the second half, talking about Michaela Moore, for example, who is usually keeping things tidy in the back for them. Retreating are the Wild. Tidy work through the middle. And here's a transition opportunity for Calgary early on. Christy Gray with the cross. No one's home. That's cleared swiftly by Halifax. They don't want to waste any time. Halifax scoring first in its last match and unable to capitalize after that. Cloud, a little chip out to the left flank, and now Halifax opportunity to regroup. Pressure coming up top for Calgary. Both teams looking to settle in, trying to find their stride. One of the things that, you know, Lydia Bedford really loved about her team, Jess, was that she feels like their style is on full display. As an opportunity here for Sid Kennedy as she's taken down, and that's the exact attack that we highlighted earlier in the game. Kennedy coming down the left flank, causing a ton of problems.
Yeah, Storty does well here to get her body in between Kennedy and the ball, but Kennedy is an absolute force when she does have the ball at her foot. She's not afraid to go at you 1v1, and that's what you want from your wingers, but I think that that's just one example of what we're going to see from her tonight, and her ability to go at Storty and cause some issues.
Storty is all good. She's going to get up, and that's going to be a foul called on Kennedy, and it's going to just be a free kick here for Calgary, and they'll try now to assert themselves offensively. This game in particular so far has been played in the middle of the pitch by and large. Allie Green turns it over, and back the other way goes Karima Lemire. Ball played to the top of the 18. Sonia does well to clear it, and it's going to be the first corner kick of the match. And to your point about this new center back pairing in Tilly James and Sonia, the opportunity to maybe get a little cheekier on the attack or take a little bit more risk, see if you can make them uncomfortable early on, is not a bad philosophy.
And I think when you have a front two in a Miller and a Nakamura, both very crafty players, both have pace, that's what you want. You want to put them under pressure, but you also want to pick your moments to do so you can last all game.
Will this be an early moment and an opportunity for Halifax? And no one could really find where that ball went after it was headed, and now it'll be possession for the Tide. Megumi Nakamura will leave it for Eva Fremo. That ball flicked onto the top of the 18. A battle at the top of the box is won by the Wild.
One thing that's going to be key for this Halifax side today is going to be able to create those overloads on the flank, specifically against a 4-3-3. You know that they're going to have numbers up in the midfield from Calgary's standpoint, which is why right now I would say Calgary is really controlling the dynamic of the game and the rhythm of the matchup into their favor. But I think that that's where this Halifax side really needs to spread it out wide and get those crosses in the box, because that's where we've seen them thrive in the last few games. So it's just a matter of really playing to your strengths and what you're being given. So I would love to see that from them as this game continues.
Despite the fact that they haven't necessarily had the results, and by necessarily I mean they have not, and not to be harsh, we saw the board at the beginning. They're ranked last in the NSL in a lot of these offensive metrics, but for Calgary in particular, opportunity for some of their young players, as we highlighted earlier. And you know, we have to say that Callie Johnson is looking like she's unavailable for this match. She's not going to be featured, and that's somebody who is tied for third in the NSL in scoring, tied for second, excuse me, in the NSL with scoring with 3 goals. So opportunity abound for other players to kind of get in on the action, but then again, you can't have that default setting to fall back on, knowing that Johnson, hey, she's probably good for one for us.
No, this is when everybody needs to step up, and I think that in the end it makes your team better, being able to train those depth players, because what other opportunity are you going to get? Training doesn't quite mimic what you get in a game, so for them to be able to get real minutes, play big minutes, and have to step up and make things happen is where in the end, when a player like Johnson is back and available, these players who are now getting the minutes are going to make the team that much stronger.
And Johnson, she's not injured, so all is well on that front. She was on international duty playing with the Matildas, getting her first senior national team call-up, scoring her first goal, so all is well on that front. She's probably on cloud 9, but not trying to risk any kind of injury. Lydia Bedford was very clear. I would not be able to live with myself, she said, if I push somebody at this point in the season. Through ball, not found. An opportunity there for Calgary, who are mounting these sneaky attacks and just a little too much pace on that ball, destined for Robertson.
This is a great combination play. This is where you see Stewart being available as an option underneath Thurton, who she's able to play that ball through, but Steer's just not quite able to get her foot on it. It's a little bit overhit. It looks like the Halifax defender might have gotten her way a bit, but that's what you want from Stewart. You want her to be that option underneath the forwards and be able to play those slip balls through, because we've seen her do it, and she has the quality to be able to create something for this side.
That ball sent back to Bukovic, no problem. Sonia, she'll move it to Doherty Howard. James available. Doherty Howard, one touch down the left side of the pitch. Green will use her in relief and all the way back to Sonia.
You mentioned Calgary's style of play earlier, Ashley, and just to go off of that, I think in their last matchup against Vancouver, we really didn't see them thrive in their style of play. There was a little bit too much aerial play. The balls were being forced, and that is not when they play their best soccer. So I think right now this ability to really control the ball, stay calm, cool, collected, and just recycle it until there is an option that's open is where this team will thrive. So I think it's massive. You want to get Doherty Howard on the ball to be able to do things like that and switch the play. And they're a team that we've seen create so much variety in their ability, whether it's combination play to build up, or it's a switch ball, or it's getting the flanks involved and playing it through.
Gray persevering and trying to get a shot on goal. It's blocked by the defense as you see all the white jerseys create a wall and look to get those numbers back. One observation that was made by Lydia Bedford is that, as we have a player down here, we'll hope everything's okay, but she said that Halifax has not been attacking and pressing as much. They've been sitting back in this mid to low block, and maybe that's something that's just self-preservation. Coach Bedford said that, understanding that they need to be a little bit more timely in the opportunities to attack.
It's challenging to be in a press in regards to keeping your energy and being able to hold that the entirety of the match. It's not something that's easy to do. So I think on Halifax's front, it makes sense to want to sit, but you also have to apply a slight bit of pressure at the moments when it's given. So I think right now we're seeing Miller and Nakamura, they're sort of sitting flat and very even. And I think that that's where there needs to be a little bit more of
a push and pull.
Yes, exactly. There has to be that pendulum idea there so that you don't allow Doherty Howard to get on the ball, but you also apply just enough pressure that the center back feels they don't have too much time and space. You don't necessarily need to step. If they're in front of you, you're good. But it's just a matter of being able to pick those moments to apply just enough of a threat to make them make a mistake, put them under that pressure, and still not allow a player like Doherty Howard, who is really the playmaker for this team, to get on the ball and start that attack.
Point well made, partner. Ashley Docking, Jessica Lisi with you here in 16th minute at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, Alberta. 0-0 early goings of this match. Calgary has controlled the pace at this point, and if we want to revisit the match that these two teams played earlier in the season, it was the Halifax home opener, the homecoming for the Northern Super League in the East Coast, and it did not go well. Calgary won 4-1. It was in week 2. It was goals scored in the first minute, the 6th minute, the 25th minute, so just an onslaught. And already Halifax, a much improved performance than the shock that they received in week 2. As we're back underway here, looks like all is well for the player who was down. And we will continue play, but, you know, I said it to Doherty Howard early. I can't imagine that this game would have the same result, and I think it's a point of pride too for Halifax. Jess, talking to Lewis Page, she's like, I haven't talked about it with my team, but what's understood doesn't need to be explained. We all know we want redemption.
Yeah, as a player, you come into this game wanting to prove something. I also think, you know, we saw them, that was their first game of the season. It was Calgary's second. So there was a bit of nerves there. They came out probably not knowing what to expect, in the sense it's your first ever game being at home, and just a big moment for them.
Opportunity here for Halifax. Speaking of moments, the run was on down the right side, but the Tides decide to turn it all the way back to the defense, and now opportunity once again. Gay manages to keep possession.
But just to continue that, I think that this is where we are seeing a very different team. We've seen them grow from game to game. It's definitely a pride thing. You don't want to ever lose, let alone by 4 goals. So I think that the fact that we've seen them progress from game to game, both in their ability to create attack and also stay more compact defensively. You mentioned them switching from that high press to more of a block, and it's been working for them. So I think baby steps with this side, and I think that we're seeing a lot of growth.
Well, into, you know, that end as well, you go down 3 in the first 25 minutes. Not to say you don't believe in your side, but that's a heck of an uphill battle to climb. It's Mount Everest-esque, and so at that point you're frustrated. You're not saying what am I playing for, but it's just that letdown, right? That momentum, that adrenaline, and then the crash. So it's hard to kind of rally after that, but Halifax has to be happier with the performance that we're seeing here today as Marika Gay faces 2 defenders. That ball is eventually turned over. Miller is going to be the culprit, and back to Vukovic, who has Tilly James going out to the wide side.
The biggest thing too for this Halifax side is the fact that they haven't been able to put a consistent performance out all from minute 1 to 90. I think that you see them earlier in the season starting off quite slow, and then they would build into the game as it progressed. But I think that last matchup, actually, they started off very strong. I think that they could have had about 3 or 4 before Vancouver was able to get on the board, but Vancouver bringing a lot of resilience to be able to get back in that game and score late. But that first 40 minutes, I would say, is the best football that we've seen this Halifax side play, and it was a very confident side. It was a very brave side. So I'd love to see them channel that every single game and be able to keep it from the first minute all the way through.
And it was control paste, copy paste. It was attacks down the flanks, crosses in the middle, opportunity as this cross goes into the 6th. It finds Eva Fremo, but she's unable to redirect, and no harm, no foul there, but Halifax trying to counterpunch the jabs that they've been receiving from this Calgary side.
Here's another look at it. This is a great ball in. Fremo just not able to quite get her head on that, overrunning it a little bit as well.
20 minutes into this match, 0-0 at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, Alberta. It's a beautiful day, 23 degrees pitch side. Calgary looking to continue their unbeaten streak. They are 3 matches in a row without a loss, a draw against Vancouver, win against Montreal, draw then against Ottawa prior to the international break for Halifax. They've obviously had a bit more of a tough go. They have 1 draw, so they've gotten points in 1 of their matches, but they currently sit in 6th. So looking for their franchise's first win, it would be monumental here if they're able to pull this off. And I don't want to say steal one from Calgary in the sense that not any team can win on any given day, but yeah, steal one from Calgary.
I think when you break it down, Calgary's been the more consistent side, so it's a fair statement to make. Again, this is a Halifax side that is very capable, and I don't think that necessarily at times the results reflect what actually happened in the matchups. But to your point, Calgary has definitely been a stronger side throughout the season so far.
Once again, Fremo doing work to keep the ball in the possession of Halifax, an opportunity for another set piece on the sideline. Big throw into the box. Nakamura unable to get control.
There just doesn't seem to be enough movement off the ball right now for Halifax off throw-ins. There just isn't. There's a lot of stagnant players. You're seeing Nakamura try to come to the ball, but it's very difficult to control the ball when you're flat-footed. I think that there needs to be better movement off the ball. They need to want the ball and pull people out of space and just move around those Calgary defenders to be able to find the space, turn, and create something, whether that's a shot, a cross, or just a combination play to stay in possession of the ball.
A little bit of a disconnect there on that volley opportunity going back to Fremo, and it'll be Allie Green who's going to be on the ball now. Opportunity to try and dig themselves out of their own defensive third. Free kick coming for Calgary. Get a look at Marika Gay coming out of Montreal. She's played 5 matches, 4 starts here. 1 goal for this Halifax side, and you know, those goals are valuable for a team that's struggled to finish. So she's somebody that maybe can capitalize for them here today. And I gotta say, no one is probably excited to get back into a match situation more than Nakamura, because we showed a series of opportunities that she had at close to point blank range and unable to redirect. And you know, Jess, as a player, that the last thing that you want to do is have that be the thing that's on your mind before a big break or an opportunity not to necessarily try and play again and put one in the back of the net.
And it sticks with you. I will say that as someone that has been in a forward position or in an attacking mid role, those things haunt you sometimes, especially when it happens more than once.
Green, she'll take a look from deep, and oh my gosh, if you weren't awake, now is the time to pay attention. Allie Green lets it fly.
This is what you love to see. You want your fullbacks to get into the attack. You want them to strike from distance. She has so much time and space, and she makes absolutely no mistake placing that home. She hits it brilliantly. Here's another look at it. Too much time and space for her. She hits that top corner, makes no mistake. This is the quality that Allie Green has, her ability to strike from distance and recognize the time and space that she's being given. This is a great goal.
She said, "You must have forgot who I am."
Let me
I'm
remind
a New Zealand
you.
international player. I was at the 2024 Olympics. And she made it 1-0 here for the home side. What a shot. And that's about also knowing your opponent, right? You got to know, is this somebody who's going to let it fly? Okay. Let me close the time and space, as you said. And also, everyone's a professional here in this league. Yeah, you give them that much time and space, they're going to have a go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful goal, but I also think on the flip side, there's not enough urgency from Halifax in the defensive role right now. You saw Lemire sort of standing around, giving her too much time and space to be able to look up and recognize, hey, I got all the time in the world. Why would I not try it? Because, again, we know the quality that Allie Green has. She's been showing it throughout this season so far, so it needs to be a little bit better from Halifax on the defensive side, not allowing too much time and space, stepping when it's necessary or staying when it's necessary, but just being able to recognize that and make those decisions.
Here come the Wild once again. Halifax need to be careful that that beautiful ball into the top right-hand corner from Green is not what opens the floodgates and have a repeat performance of their match in week 2. Sonia finds her target in Gray, but unable to collect it. Halifax try to counter. That ball finds the foot of Miller. She has Kennedy running. Plays it gently out to the left flank. And now Kennedy runs into the 18. One body in the box. There's that cross. You can't find Nakamura. And the clearance from Calgary does well to avoid any trouble.
I think in those moments too, you need more players in the box. It was Nakamura really as a lone soldier there, trying to get away from Sonia, who was doing a good job at sort of holding her up and giving her a bit of physical play, not allowing her to get free to be able to get her head on that cleanly. But you see Sid Kennedy and her ability once again. She makes that run initially across, looking for the ball from Miller, who takes an extra touch. The window closes, and then she's able to find Leslie, who gets forward as well, to create that overload, who once again finds a Sid Kennedy who wants the ball, drives end line, gets the ball in. But Nakamura is just not quite open enough, and I think that that's where you need the numbers getting forward. You need your midfielders getting involved. You need your far side players getting involved. So just a little bit more urgency, I would say, from Halifax on both sides of the ball right now.
And just to make it easier on themselves too, right? Of course, these players are capable of doing exceptional things, but do you want to have to rely on Nakamura to make an all-world play in traffic, defended by 4, to score or to get an opportunity to equalize?
Well, here's a look at the physicality that we know we're going to get between these two. Sid Kennedy is a player that loves to go into 1v1 battles, and Grace Storty is one that does not like to back down from them. So it's exciting to see that pairing out on the flank as well. But yes, Ashley, to your point, it's very difficult to make something happen, specifically when you're having a cross come into the box that's a little bit lofted. You can't really get enough power behind it, let alone when you have 4 players, as you said, on you. So they definitely need to have that urgency and bring more players forward.
Opportunity for a set piece here for Halifax. Direct service to the top of the 6. It tips off one of, it looked like maybe Framo got a little piece of it, but unable to redirect. I'm being told we're going to have a hydration break here for the sides, for both sides, and if that's not a sign of summer, I don't know what is. This hydration break is brought to you by Powerade, and both sides are going to have a chance to convene and just chat a little bit about what they've liked and what they don't. And as we take a look at Halifax, I think you nailed it when you said, Jess, that they need numbers, and it's hard when your forte is not going to be pressing, but finding those opportunities to jump up is going to be critical.
Yeah, I think that that's what they need to work on in the remainder of this half, just being able to find the energy and the urgency to step when Calgary is trying to build and being able to get numbers forward. But I just think right now they're lacking in that a little bit, and it's hurting them. Obviously, it's one goal. There's a lot of time for them to be able to come back. But when you look at Calgary on the other side, I think that they overall have controlled the dynamic of the game much better, but I don't necessarily think that they've been threatening as much as they could be. We know that this is a side that does really well when they play players like Thurton or get Gray involved and get the ball into the box, but we haven't seen that enough from them, I would say. You're finding Doherty Howard, but would love to see a bit more combination play to be able to lead to more dangerous opportunities.
As we approach the 30-minute mark here in the first half, let's take another look at this screamer from Allie Green on the left side of the 18. She has time, space, opportunity, and she absolutely cracks it just inside the post, kisses the side of the mesh, and you can see the delight in her face for being able to put one past Erin McLeod. And, you know, again, I know you mentioned that it's only one goal for Halifax, but they also only have 2 goals for the entire season. And so that's frustrating. And you want to make sure that you're not now tightening up, trying to force the issue, because as you said, there is a ton of time.
And we spoke about it with Lewis Page, right? He said it was that ability to bounce back that they need to work on, and the mentality to be able to do that. When they were down 2-1 with the Vancouver game, they weren't able to turn it on after that. They sort of played down, and it looked like they were in their head a little bit too much. They were forcing opportunities. They weren't having those build-up moments that we were seeing from them earlier on in the half. So I think that, to your point, Ashley, this is where we have to see how they're able to react. Can they bounce back? Can they continue to turn it on and go front-footed mentality, continue to strike at goal, get the balls in the box, and just bring that aggressiveness? Because if they aren't able to, you know that Calgary is a side that is going to continue to push, and that's where more goals will come.
Karina Lemire won herself a free kick, and she will go left-footed service into the box. Tries to bend that one back post, but a nice job by Stephanie Bukovic to track that, and no deflection, so made it easy work for the keeper.
There wasn't enough aggressiveness, I would say, not enough grittiness and willingness to put your body on the line. That was able to bounce just at the top of the 6, and that's where you want your players to be crashing. I think that was a great ball in by Lemire, and the ability to strike that. She is a left-footed player, but it had just enough pace on it, just enough bend. So I think that was a great service from her, but again, the willingness needs to be better from this Halifax side inside the 18-yard box.
Doherty Howard makes sure she gets that one first, tips it out to her own team, and now it's opportunity for Calgary to try and get rid of some of this pressure that Halifax has been mounting. The results have not been there, but here we go, another opportunity. Leslie with the cross. Another runner joins Nakamura this time, but Bukovic is there to get up and get it.
You're seeing there alone, Ashley, the high pressure causes problems for back lines. They were able to regain that and create something out of it.
Lemire, she'll turn that over. Great independent effort, and now Fremont is looking for the advantage call, but it will not happen. I'm just waiting to see if our official is going to call for medical attention, as Karima Lemire is on the ground and she's holding her shoulder, looking like she's in a little bit of pain. Just kidding. The woman was too stunned to speak, but now she's looking for the culprit. Lemire not afraid of a little contact. And yeah, Lewis Page, you wonder how much tinkering you want to do, right? It's a fine balance to strike when you're in search of what's going to work for your side. You want to give people an opportunity, but you want to make sure that you also build that chemistry with certain partnerships. As we get a second look at this. Little shot.
There's definitely a shot after Lemire is able to get away. I'm sure she sold that a little more just to be able to win the foul, but there definitely was some contact there that was not necessary.
Definitely a little shot from Gray. No booking on the play. And now it's Halifax once again looking to force the issue down this left flank. Pressure causing problems, turned over once again. Bodies in the box. Gay calling for it. And that's going to be a free kick now, as Sonia did a great job using her body to really get in the way of that cross and make it not as dangerous as it otherwise could have been.
We spoke about wanting to see how this Halifax side would react and how they would be able to come out after having been scored on. And I think that right now we're seeing them come out with a bit more of a front-footed mentality and wanting that aggressiveness in defense to apply pressure to this Calgary back line, who we're seeing cough up the ball a little bit when they are under high pressure. And I think that that's going to create dangerous opportunities for them. So there has to be bits of time where you are stepping and you're applying that pressure. Of course, you can't do that for 90 minutes. It's just not realistic, and that's where you're going to get broken down. But we're seeing right now them have that front-footed mentality, and it's working a little bit.
Speaking of the front foot, it's been a minute since we've seen Calgary try and work something offensively. That offering from Doherty Howard was broken up by the defense, and once again, it's Halifax who continue to cause a little bit of trouble here. I think the pendulum has swung in their favor in terms of the energy, in terms of the momentum, despite the score. They have come on strong here in the last few minutes. Nakamura pressuring Sonia. Bukovic there in relief. Straight up the gut in relief for Calgary before it's finally closed down. And that ball simply has too much on it. As you can see, that Calgary is definitely trying to exploit something on that right side.
And we've seen what they can do when they do get Thurton on the ball and they get Storty up there with her. But again, I think that right now we're seeing Calgary attempt to find their footing. We saw moments of them doing great things, but they haven't been able to create something too dangerous, I would say, outside of the goal, potentially 1 or 2 opportunities, but they've been in possession for the most part.
Doherty Howard gets knocked and falls down in the box as the aforementioned Thurton tried to serve it up on a platter for her. No call, no foul. We'll play on. McLeod across the face of goal, and that's going to raise the hair on any coach's arm when you see 2 attackers barreling down on your goal and the goalkeeper is not in the frame. But just as you talked about it, it was an opportunity for Sarita Thurton to create something on her own, use her pace to try and outrun the defense, and then the cutbacks are always dangerous, and Doherty Howard made herself available. You know, proud to say that in April, NSL games reached over 1.5 million viewers across linear platforms, and the support, I think, has been fantastic. We wax poetic about, you know, the fact that there's a domestic professional league and opportunity for all these players to get some run at a high level and get paid to do what they love, and the proof of concept has been there and the viewership has followed, and I think the results as well has followed. Jess, we're sitting here in a 1-0 match. Anyone can win on any given night. We've seen those results teeter back and forth, even across the board in a lot of instances, and it's just so wonderful to see that these women have risen to the occasion and then some.
Yeah, I think, you know, the more games we watch, the more you see that quality really pick up. Everyone's starting to find their footing, and that's where the question mark is, who's going to win this league? Because you don't know. You know, it's anyone's game on any given day, and we see an opponent come out, you assume one side is going to win it and the other side comes out and absolutely dominates. So I think that that's what makes this exciting. You don't know who's going to walk away with that title at the end. You don't know who's going to be the Golden Boot winner because you have so many great goals coming from so many teams. And I think that that's what makes it exciting for viewers. That's what makes it exciting for us. We love when you score a great goal. As you can see, we got very excited on that goal alone. But yeah, to your point, it's just so awesome to see the support and very exciting to be a part of this, honestly.
Christy Gray goes down. She goes full chalk outline, waiting for the call. She gets it. It's going to be Doherty Howard on the service. We're 7 to 8 yards outside the 18. And we'll see what Doherty Howard's going to do with it. Looping ball to the back of the 6. Plenty of opportunity, plenty of Calgary players to get their head on it, and it's Gray who started this whole thing, who regains possession. Ball into the box, testing McLeod, and it had the trajectory. It was just a little off target, and yikes, scary moments as the ball hangs up there.
Potentially 2 fullbacks getting on the board.
Now they're in a secret competition.
But you do know, all jokes aside, that this Calgary team is very capable off of set pieces, and when they do have them, Doherty Howard always puts in a great delivery, and they don't give up until they're able to create something off of it. That ball getting all the way back to Storty, who still gets something off and strikes it back towards goal. Had there been some runner back post, that potentially was creating something on frame. But it did look like it was a close call. It was almost going on frame from this angle that we're sitting, Ashley. So that's what you want. You want your fullbacks to get involved, as we saw earlier. Green being able to strike that from distance, and Storty is somebody that also has that capability.
41st minute here at McMahon Stadium. 1-0. Calgary holding on to a lead. A goal off the foot of Allie Green. And just on cue, Green charging the end line. That ball goes out of bounds. Halifax possession. It'll be a goal kick, but a nice run from Green to try and force the issue and, you know, have that back line from Halifax sweating it a little bit.
Fremont does a good job at bringing that competitive edge to her defending, and I think that that's a perfect example of it, and her ability to get just the right amount of physicality at the end there to not allow Green to get a ball across, or really just be able to control that ball at all to create anything for her Calgary team, and I think that that's where Fremo really comes alive. It's in those 1v1 battles. It's her competitive edge that she brings and her physicality. She is an exciting player, and she's also someone to watch, I think, when she gets involved in the attack as well.
I've really enjoyed her game, absolutely. I think for me personally, that edge, surprising or not, is something that I'm drawn to in athletes that I watch.
Anyone that knows you, Ashley, does not think that's surprising.
That's a compliment, I think.
It is. It absolutely is. I picture you to be that kind of player, very edgy,
So
doesn't
cool.
back down, competitive. Yeah.
Calgary on the front foot. Runners in the box. Oh, a great defensive play. Second opportunity. And it's point blank, period, into the net. 2-0 for Calgary. And a beautiful build-up. And again, capitalizing on those opportunities are the Wild as they double their lead.
We know this is a side that, again, we spoke about their ability to really go down that flank and be able to create things. And not only that, we mentioned how this is a team that's been struggling to finish and be clinical in that final third. So this is so great. What a great effort here to be able to go down that flank. And she cuts this back so well and just it's placed perfectly. That's the clinical edge you want. Here's another look at it. Storty bringing her competitive edge, driving forward, recognizing who's open, and she's able to find Robertson, who places that home and makes no mistake.
You can see McLeod, head in her hands, frustrated, unable to get there. It's a tough spot to put any goalkeeper. Again, that shot would just, she had her way with it. You are watching Northern Super League presented by BMO, and what a perfect opportunity to remind you how lucky we are to be watching soccer of this level. 2-0 here for Calgary. They double their lead. Charging, Thornton, the ball is laid off, saves it, trying with all her might to put it in an advantageous position for Storty, who that whole right side has been using their speed and really having their way with Halifax. Storty, Thornton. And anytime they hit that gear, it's on your heels, right?
I'll tell you one thing, I do not want Grace Storty and Thurton running at me on the flank. That would not be a very fun pair and duo to defend. And as you saw Storty's ability to get forward and create so much in the attack when she's able to bomb forward, you saw Green on the flip side being able to get involved in the attack and score a goal. And I think that also, just to mention, this is another moment for Robertson. She stepped up again. We saw her score a screamer earlier this year. Absolute beautiful goal to give her team that win. I believe it was over Montreal, and I just think that that is what these moments are all about, having those players step up, as we spoke about earlier. So just exciting for her, and glad that we're seeing some new faces get on the board.
Halifax trying desperately to create opportunity offensively, and Fremo, no surprise, is the one leading the charge, unable to make it happen and get the ball into a dangerous area. And now it's Calgary who's going to try and counter. Stewart up to Thurton. Here comes that speed. That ball hits the side of the netting, and it's crisis averted for Halifax.
This all starts, Ashley, from Stewart's ability to find that ball and be an outlet in the middle of the park, and I think that that's where you need a Lemire and a Creighton to be more aware of where the numbers are. You know their numbers down in the midfield just by the way they're tactically lined up. There has to be more awareness to be able to have somebody else step there. There's no reason that Stewart should be that wide open to create that and have a player like Thurton running at your back line with so much time and space. Thankfully, she wasn't able to get her foot around that the way she would have loved to do so in that moment, but that's a dangerous opportunity for this Calgary side, and we've already seen what they can do getting on the board.
Stewart once again, she gets that ball to Robertson. She goes outside foot, trying to put it into the 18. Nice job by Halifax dispatching that opportunity. And Miller now looking for just a little bit of air to breathe for this Halifax side. A nice touch on by Nakamura. And looking to play the ball up to Kennedy, but Kennedy, she looks a little gassed. Excuse me, Gay, check that. Looking a little tired. It's hard to say, hey, go get this ball, this through ball behind a series of defenders.
And I think, again, this is where the mentality comes in. You are going to be a little gassed at this point. We've seen them start to apply more of that pressure to the Calgary back line. Gay having to really make her way up and down the flank. There's a lot of responsibility when you are playing in that outside midfield role, and a 4-4-2 is not an easy role to be in. But I think that this is where that mentality has to check in, because it is 2-0. You want to be able to keep yourself turned on all the way to that final moment, that final whistle. And she's got about 4 minutes left where she needs to just be able to fight it out, and I think they all do.
Sarita Thurton, she cuts it back in. She'll have a go herself. She's been offering it up to every one of her teammates and now look to cut in, potentially seeking an opportunity for herself, but it's the Halifax counter. Kennedy has Miller. She'll go on a solo mission into the 18. Tilly James, a well done job of making sure she's ushering that ball out of bounds for a goal kick.
You see Kennedy attempting to sell that, hoping that she was going to be able to get something out of that individual effort. This is a side that is very capable of those transitional moments, but I think one thing that they've lacked when they do create those great transitional moments is getting those numbers forward. She doesn't have very many options there, and of course that's what transition's all about. You got numbers back, but you see Miller up there, but there was really no one else with her, and Miller wasn't in a position to be able to really help her either. So Sid Kennedy taking that herself, showing what she's capable of, hoping that she would draw a PK out of it, but just it's too difficult to be able to run that distance and create something so great out of it when you have defenders on your back.
Well, and I would also add that, you know, it's disheartening to a degree as another opportunity presents itself here for Miller. A fantastic job by Tilly James to step in and stop her in her tracks, but disheartening to have that effort, look up and see none of your teammates available. And again, we're not saying it's for lack of effort or anything along those lines. It's just not finding themselves in advantageous positions, and, you know, to your point, just that extra bit of grit sometimes that it takes. Thurton has been displaying some of that, and here's a crack at it, and 3-0 for Calgary. And look who it is, the big smile on her face. Stewart gets a piggyback ride for her efforts. Hitches a ride from Gray.
What an awesome moment for her. We spoke about this young star and her becoming such a crucial part of this attack. Thurton does so well. One thing she does awesome is being able to look up and find that ball back. Here's another look at it. She looks up, her recognition, the IQ to be able to play this back. And Stewart makes no mistake being able to get that in that bottom left corner, showing her ability to be clinical, showing that edge that she really brings to the attack. Really exciting moment for her.
Her first NSL goal, fresh off the heels of a high school graduation today, comes to the park, hits the pitch, and has been a menace, now scoring a fantastic goal. And this is the stuff that you love to see. And, you know, I don't necessarily love to harp on everything that this league brings to the table, because it is a lot, but it's those opportunities for those young players to show what they have at a high level and really raise their level of play against grown women. And look at the excitement on her face of Tegan Stewart, and everyone just so happy for her as well.
Yeah, and not many people can say that they graduated from high school and then went and scored their first professional goal all in the same day. So I think that just proves how great of a moment this is, and I think that especially for a young rising star, that means that much more.
The Calgary Wild FC are riding the wave, and it's the Halifax Tides FC who have a lot of work to do. 3-0 the score for the home side at McMahon Stadium. We will have first half highlights coming up, and let's talk about some of these amazing international players that the NSL has sent to the international break.
all Canadians means representation from all communities, and the fact that we take pride in our diversity can be a huge stride towards gender equity in this nation.
This league needs to be one that is welcome to all players across Canada, and every girl should watch the screen and watch a team in the NSL and see someone that looks like them.
My name's Furkana Mutaj. I play for Calgary Wild FC as a midfielder. My parents fled war in the early 90s from Afghanistan and then later resettled to Canada when I was 2 years old. And so growing up, have been extremely grateful for all the resources and opportunities here in Canada. And so my goal has always been to give back to this nation, Afghanistan, and the global community. The political landscape of the world kind of shifted and specifically really affected me and my family and my roots. I was supposed to start my first teaching contract, but also still wanted to play football myself, and so I was competing semi-professionally. But after successfully evacuating the Afghan youth national team to Portugal and living in Portugal and helping resettle them for some period of time, it reignited my passion and purpose behind why I wanted to be a professional footballer. These young girls saw me as an inspiration and role model, and at times you feel like you doubt your impact in society, but to me it was really clear how influential and impactful it would be as an Afghan. Joining the NSL is a huge honor and privilege that I'm very humbled to be a part of from the inaugural season. I think us Canadian players deserve to have this platform to showcase our talent, but also influence other individuals in this nation. We are the role models of the young generation that hopefully will now start to play, will stay in sport, and also pave the path for future generations and shape its future.
For the league to become one of the most inclusive and diverse leagues is huge. It's a place in which we can start to build out our community, build out the dreams and hopes of young people to see who their heroes are. As Canadians, we can support this initiative. Now's our chance to really come together and support the future generation of what that will look like on and off the pitch.
And help them build a better life. I think it's an opportunity for us all to shape the culture right from the beginning, but also set high standards for what sport in Canada looks like moving forward.
Welcome back to the Northern Super League halftime report presented by BMO. We are in Calgary, Alberta at McMahon Stadium for week 8 of the NSL season, back after 10 grueling days without your favorite football teams during an international break. And we have Calgary, who have come out absolutely flying. It was Halifax held them at bay just for the first 20-25 minutes, and then it was just floodgates, as I mentioned, starting with this offering from Allie Green.
Yeah, I think that we saw at the beginning of the matchup this Calgary side coming out and really controlling the dynamic of the game. Here's another look at it. She just recognizes how much time and space she has, and she uses that quality to be able to put that in the top bin.
A dart.
She makes absolutely no mistake with that. This is Storty showing her ability to read the game, runs forward, looks up, and is able to find Robertson with a bit of a redirection there. And Robertson places that bottom left corner. So calm, composed, takes her time to be able to recognize that. You see McLeod frustrated because she is wide open. There's not much she can do in that moment. Another look at it here. Storty's ability to win that. Goes forward, darts forward. She loves to drive end line, but here she recognizes she doesn't need to.
And it's deflection, and it's the numbers that we talked about that Halifax doesn't have, that it's Calgary that's taking advantage of. And then who else? Sarita Thurton serving it up on a platter for Tegan Stewart, her first professional goal, 17 years old and absolutely clinical.
And this is one thing that Thurton does so well for this side. She doesn't just get the ball in mindlessly. She always picks somebody out, and she finds Stewart, who has been instrumental for them, I would say, in the attack and finding those little slip balls and finding the correct spaces. And she does so well to be able to hit that into the bottom corner. it's a great moment for her.
Here are the statistics for the first half of the season. It's been 3 shots on target, 3 goals for Calgary FC, 6 shots total. The possession numbers speak for themselves, and the corner kick battle, if you will, goes to Halifax, but it's because Calgary hasn't really faced much resistance when they're driving end line, as you mentioned, or on those crosses. They've been able to get them into the box pretty cleanly.
Yeah, we saw them earlier in the half really just giving that calm mentality and being able to stay composed and play the ball around back. And then they started to really come alive later in the half and be able to get those 3 goals quick, pretty back-to-back, I would say. But I think this Halifax side is just not applying enough pressure. We saw when they were the trouble that they gave to this Calgary side. So I think that we need to see a little bit more of that on both sides of the ball, the aggressiveness and the willingness to be able to do it.
It's not just NSL players impressing here in Calgary, it's overseas as well. The international break put NSL players on display. We'll get into that in just a moment.
It's the goal they've been waiting for.
That is a highlight we will see over and over and over again. That is absolutely world class. Oh my goodness.
We continue your Northern Super League halftime presented by BMO. It's 3-0 for Calgary over Halifax here at McMahon Stadium. And one of the stories over the last 10 days has been the women who have been called up to represent their senior women's national teams. And the NSL was on full display. Every club, all of the 6 clubs represented on the international stage. 16 players on our list who were also called up. Callie Johnson, for example, she got her first call up to the senior team. She scored. Holly Ward, second cap, first start. Allie Green for New Zealand. She already scored a massive goal here today. And Jess, this is just something that I think puts further on display the talent in this league.
Yeah, we know that there's quality in this league, and this is a perfect example of it. These players being able to step into those international environments and make things happen. You're seeing the goal here by Johnson, and we know that she's a player that is able to finish. We've seen her do it in the NSL, but to see her get her first call up and be able to put that home very confidently at her young age. It just shows the quality of player that she is. This is a display of what Clegg is able to do as well. I think we've seen her come alive as the games have gone on here, but she is a player that is very clinical in the final third when she's in and around that 18.
And then Holly Ward, I think, is just such a great story as well. She goes up and she gets a chance to play for Canada, and she makes no mistake. And you can just see from the smile on her face, even talking about this experience, she said, I blacked out a little bit, not going to lie, but this is what we dream of. And I think that just amplifies the point of the players, the talent, the opportunity, and making the most of the chances, Holly Ward being one of them.
And we've seen Holly Ward in the NSL be able to drive end line and get those balls into the box. We haven't seen her score yet, so it is great to see her showcasing her ability inside the 18, putting her body on the line, and showing that tenacity that we know she has to be able to put that away and step up for Canada.
I know you guys are excited to be back with Jess Lisi and myself, Ashley Ducking, but we have a full slate of matches coming up in NSL Week 8, Saturday, June 7th. AFC Toronto, they are playing Ottawa Rapid FC, Montreal taking on Vancouver Rise FC, and then Halifax on Tuesday, back at it, a short turnaround if you will, especially with those international call-ups, with the travel across country. They're taking on Ottawa. That game is going to be on Tuesday, June 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we cannot wait for all the action because, Jess, I don't know how you feel about it. The 10 days without NSL soccer, it did feel like a little bit longer. I had withdrawal. I'm not going to lie.
I'm definitely pumped that it's back. I'm with you. I'm right there with you, Ashley. I'm pumped that it's back. I'm excited to see these players back in action with their sides, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Again, I think we don't know who's going to win this league. You never know who's going to win each game. You can always predict, but I've definitely predicted in the past and been very wrong, so I'm ready.
Well, I was going to say earlier you were talking about the fact that, hey, this league has been so close, and you can just look at the standings and it speaks for itself. 3 wins for Montreal, Vancouver, AFC Toronto, 2 for Ottawa, Calgary, goals for 7 across the board, excluding Halifax. And so you don't know who's going to be successful each and every night. Do you care to venture a guess? Do you care to make an early prediction?
Ooh.
It's too soon.
I will say, as a Torontonian, at the beginning of the season, I was definitely thinking AFC Toronto was going to run away with it, but they started slow. They weren't able to find their footing necessarily in regards to results. It wasn't for poor performances. You saw Montreal start off so strong, and now they're dealing with some injuries, and they're having to find their footing a little bit as the season carries on. So no, I'm not going to predict right now, Ashley. But I will say I've been wrong in the past in predicting who's going to win certain games. So, and I love that. I love that I'm wrong, because that just means this league is super competitive.
We're going to get some substitutions here, and if you saw the name Stewart and got confused because you saw Tegan Stewart, who scored the 3rd goal here for Calgary, her twin sister Keelan Stewart, also coming fresh off of graduation, has now joined the Calgary Wild on the pitch. So we're going to get twin sisters, 17 years old, trying to show out in this pro environment. As you get a look at that picture, Keelan on the left, Tegan on the right. I know they're twins, so it's kind of hard to tell. And the one thing they were saying is, it's a little nerve-wracking. Like, you have to go and you reach this milestone in high school, but we got fish to fry on the field. We got to get to McMahon. We have a game to play. And Tegan's certainly making the most of it. Keelan looking to make her mark in this match as well. Getting ready to start here in the second half. Calgary control things off of the initial whistle. They look to go direct, and instead it goes back to Halifax. There was a substitution for the Tides as well at halftime. Daphne Blouin is now on the pitch. Calgary unrelenting, right off the jump, an opportunity. That ball dribbles back post, and Gray thought about making a run for it, but couldn't time it. It's going to be Blouin who replaced Gay for the Tides. So Marika Gay's evening is over. Remember, she scored one of the 2 goals that Halifax has managed so far this season. There's going to be a corner kick here. Doherty Howard over the ball. Another substitution on the Halifax side. Annika Leslie, her first start, her night is going to be over though, and it's going to be Kylie Norkus who takes the pitch in response. These moves by Lewis Page, not surprising. I think just some relief for his team given the situation. What do you think the conversation was? I think based on our talk with him, adversity and how you face it.
Yeah, and I think, he was somebody that mentioned in previous calls that he wants that depth and that ability to put players on and not have the level drop. And he said he's been very proud of the players that have stepped into those roles. And, you look at a player like Norkus, we've seen her get starts. This isn't, a new opportunity for her, sort of say, but she is a player that has stepped up. She brings some physicality. She brings experience to that role. Leslie, obviously, being a player that this is her first game with the side. And she's also coming off of I want to say this, I'm going to point it out, fellow Mountaineer. So just a proud moment there.
I love it.
But she is, this is definitely a moment for them to show their depth.
Who else but Sid Kennedy drawing a foul just outside the 18, and so you see a sturdy wall go up in front of Bukovic.
And that's another thing that makes players like Sid Kennedy so dangerous. They're able to draw those fouls because they're running at you at such a high pace. You're not able sometimes to move your feet quick enough, and you end up getting caught up and drawing that foul.
You have Sarah Olai conferring with Karima Lemire over the ball. Coordinated step back. Olai decides to go direct, and that screams past the outside post. And it feels like an important moment for Halifax. I don't know if you come back from being down 3-0 the way Calgary's been playing, but
you take another look at it. She hits this with just the right amount of pace and bend. It just doesn't hit frame. It goes a little wide there, but she clearly is somebody that can hit from that distance and knows her abilities in regards to range. So you do love to see that she's trying it. But to your point, Ashley, it's difficult to come back from a 3-0 deficit. But I think that this is the moment where you have to step up mentally, and whether you're able to come back from it, you at least have to finish strong.
There has to be no fear. Your decisions have to be decisive, and you have to be clear on your intentions. There's no opportunity to back down, and there's no chance to have half measures. That won't be successful either.
Yeah, you have to show your capabilities on both sides of the ball, right? This is where you don't want Calgary to be able to net another goal, but you also want to, again, finish strong in that final third, get on the board at least, win this half. I think that's what the biggest takeaway is, be able to come out here and win this half, focus on what you can control, and a lot of the times, what you can control, how you're down 3-0, there's not much you can change there, but it's your effort and your resilience to be able to come back from it, whether that's winning this half or getting on the board. There has to be some sort of end goal in your head.
Steer doing her best to make sure that they don't even have a flicker of hope. That ball to Stewart at the top of the 18, unable to control it, and now Halifax moving their way up the pitch, trying to get through this pressure that Calgary is bringing. I'm joined by Jess Lisi, former youth international player for Team Canada. My name is Ashley Docking. We're glad to have you here. This is NSL presented by BMO, Week 8 of the Northern Super League. Calgary, of course, in their purple home kits, hosting Halifax, the Tides in the white and purple bottoms, white jerseys, purple bottoms. A nice job by Lemire making sure that she gets on that tackle coming from behind and thwarting Stewart's opportunity.
way to show the confidence in your abilities is being confident when you have the ball at your foot and controlling the play and not forcing options, because we have seen this Halifax side in the past force options, look up and just send a direct ball to absolutely no one when there isn't numbers forward, and it makes it impossible to create anything dangerous or get any sort of rhythm. So if they have to play it around back to be able to find their footing, then they should do exactly that and not rush those opportunities.
Thurton absolutely hounding for Mo. She's able to dance around and remain in possession, but the pressure is still coming. Calgary clearly said at halftime, led by Lydia Bedford, hey, you cannot let up. You cannot take your foot off their necks. You don't want to give them even the opportunity to hope that they can get back in this.
And Coach Bedford spoke about the quality of this Halifax side in transitional moments. So I think that that's where a lot of this comes from as well. You don't want this team to be able to get back in the game. Yes, they haven't won a game as of yet, but that hasn't been for a lack of trying. They've created opportunities. Again, it's that lack of clinical finish in the final third right now that's missing for them. But who knows, maybe this is the game that they find it and they get on the board. So this is a Calgary side that has to just be aware and not let Halifax back into the game at all. Of course, 3-0 is a big lead. It's comfortable, but sometimes that's when you let your foot off the gas and things happen.
Easier said than done, that's for certain, and it's Calgary who has embodied that clinical nature of finishing when they have the opportunity here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, Alberta. 3-0 for the home side, and the Wilds about to make me eat my words if this continues. But an opportunity here for Halifax, offside called, the flag goes up. Speaking to Maggie Doherty-Howard earlier, unlikely you guys will have the same results. 4-1 seems to be kind of an outlier in terms of the scores in this league, and Maggie said, wait, hold my Powerade. I got something to say about that here tonight. 3-0 so far.
She made you eat your words, Ashley.
I'm fine with it. Listen, hey, I love somebody who kind of stands on business, and they said we are coming out here to not only throw the first punch, but to throw the first series of punches, and they have done so in an absolute clinical way. They have been calm, cool, and collected in every single facet, and the results of the game so far has shown that.
And that's been the one thing that they've sort of lacked on, I would say, in big moments at times. It's that sharpness in the final third and in and around the 18, and being able to get on the good delivery. We've seen Thurton put so many great balls in, and as I said earlier, she's not a player that just aimlessly kicks the ball. She wants the ball to get to someone's feet. She wants to make sure that her runners have a chance to finish it and get it on target. So to see them be able to find that sharpness today and pretty quick back-to-back, I would say, is showing their growth and their quality, because we know that they have the variety in attack. They're a team that has a good calm but also confident compactness to them when they are in their defensive efforts. So it's great to see them coming together to get this 3-0 lead.
Really showcasing their identity as Nakamura tries to keep that ball in bounds. Unable to do so. Stewart to Stewart. Combination I'm sure they're used to hearing in club and at lower levels before they got into the professional ranks. And the one thing that I do love about this substitution early on is it's a moment in time for these young women that they would never be able to, honestly, maybe even dream of. Like, hey, we're going to play in this match together right after we graduate. So far, one of them has scored a goal. And just the care to have that opportunity. Once again, opportunities abound for Calgary, quite frankly. Grace Sorty has been a menace on this right side. This time, instead of taking the flank and passing it, she said, I'm going to have a go, as she has a little hitch in her giddy up here as she heads back to the defensive end.
I like that, hitch in her giddy up. I think that Grace Sorty is a player that constantly shows her willingness to get forward, and you love a forward mentality fullback. You love to see it, and she's definitely the epitome of that. She recognizes that McLeod's a little too high off her line, and she tries it. She doesn't quite get the clinical finish that she wants and get it on frame, but why not try it? She has so much time and space. She looks up, and she's able to attempt to chip that.
Halifax making a push. Kennedy runner to the top of the 6, cut back, a great save by Bukovic, who gets her hand out, turns that away, but the danger is not done.
That's what you want to see. You want to see them drive end line. That's where they were finding success, in that first 40 minutes against Vancouver when they were playing their best style of soccer.
Turn on a dime at the top of the 18 is Miller, but the play is blown dead. A little earlier, we'll get another look at this opportunity here.
This is a great effort to drive end line and cut that back, but Bukovic coming up huge. Here's another look. Blue end, driving end line, looks up, cuts this back. And Bukovic, again, coming up big, being able to absolutely rob her, if we're being honest. And I think that these are the moments you need Calgary to stand on their head. You don't want to let Halifax back into the game.
Lemire goes into the 6, a little too far. It goes direct to Bukovic. She's able to make that save, getting her arms up tall. But another turnover. Who else? Kennedy, Pesky. Halifax looking to get some wind in their sails. Addison Wickers, she'll have time and space, looking to play it forward. Down the left side. Cross into the 6. Nakamura, the intended target. Sonia there to dispatch the opportunity. It's going to be a throw in here for the Tides, and this is the kind of momentum that they're going to be happy to see as Framo once again on the ball.
Definitely the response that Lewis Page wanted from his side. I imagine in that change room he sort of said, you know, similar to what I was mentioning before.
Calls for a handball there.
Might agree with that one.
I would like another look at it, that's for sure. Nonetheless, Halifax moves forward. Kennedy gets the ball into the 18. Miller tries to step over. Sonia has been solid. We talked about how important this center back combination is going to be, and you know, she stepped up to this moment, playing in tandem with Tilly James. Sonia appearing in her 3rd match, starting her 2nd game this NSL season. Kennedy to take the corner. Norcus trying to play the ball through. You see at the bottom of your screen, Kennedy frustrated, calling for it at her feet. Norcus didn't notice her at the time coming back from the corner kick service.
Set pieces are an absolute gem of an opportunity to be able to...
I think, you know what? Let me stop you right there, because did Calgary just get away with one?
They absolutely did.
Very much so, and I'm actually surprised that there wasn't more ruckus and noise from this Halifax side, but this could cause the stadium to erupt. Charging into the 18, ball across. Calgary still on the end of it, returns it to the top of the 6, and it's dispatched by Lemire, and that would have been such a disappointing turn of events for Halifax to not only not get the penalty kick and then concede the other way. Crisis averted.
All I know is if that was Ashley Docking, she was getting in the ref's face. Handball, absolutely give me that handball.
I need a review. I need a review.
VAR, where are you at?
VAR, hello? My favorite acronym. Approaching the 60th minute mark at McMahon Stadium. Calgary up 3-0 on Halifax, looking to repeat their performance from week 2. Sonia plays that ball wide, and yet another opportunity for Calgary. You see them get bodies in the box. Everybody on their front foot. There's a Robertson scored, Green scored, Stewart, I want one. My turn, me next.
I would expect a bicycle kick from you.
No.
That's the energy you're giving me. You give me bicycle kick energy.
I don't know how to feel about that. I'm going to take it back and let you know. No one's ever said that to me before.
Well, there's a first for everything.
Storty gets it in the box. The cross comes. A little too much volume on that, and that'll skirt out on the opposite side of the pitch.
I still think right now Halifax is giving Calgary too much time and space to create these opportunities. Thurton's able to get that ball, and thankfully not a very good cross from her foot, but I think that if she is able to find a player in the box, as we've seen her do time and time again throughout this season, that's a dangerous opportunity and potentially goal number 4.
That is fate I would not want to test. I promise you that. You got away with one, that's fine. Now Halifax needs to just sharpen up a little bit. Almost got away with it is Gray, and be surprised if she doesn't get at least a warning for serving that cross to the top of the 18.
Big fan of the owl eyes, I will say.
It's very, I feel like that's something that, you know, my parents would say. Like, I'm always watching. I got eyes on the back of my head. So as I mentioned, you know, that whistle went. Christy Gray took a beat or two, served the ball across, and she was booked on a yellow as a result. Halifax trying to get on the front foot with all their might, but a good job tracking back by Stewart.
Yellow card received by Wild FC number 12, Christy Gray at the 63rd minute.
Christy Gray starting here for the first time in a little while. Started versus Montreal 3 weeks ago. 3 NSL weeks ago, I should say, and the season opener against Vancouver, getting another chance to set the tone here. Kennedy racing to catch up with it, stretching to keep it in bounds. Too much pace on that ball over the top.
I mentioned in the first half, you want this Halifax side to utilize their flanks and create overloads, because that is where they're going to find success. We saw them again in that, not to keep reverting back to that last game against Vancouver, but that is when I was the most impressed with their style of play and showing the variety of the attack that they do have in their back pocket. We're just not seeing it at a consistent level, I would say. So this is where I'd love to see them utilize the flanks more, get your fullbacks involved, get those overloads going, get the balls in the box, get the cutbacks. They're so capable of doing all of that. There was an attempt of a switch there, but Kennedy wasn't quite able to get it. It was a little bit overhit, but keep trying it, because that is where those bright spots and those bright moments are going to come from.
Erin McLeod easily comes out of her crease and comes out of the goal, able to scoop that up. Calgary doing well to take away any momentum that Halifax might be starting to build. That's a nice ball over the top, though. And really good stuff from Stewart there. Coming in and really rising to the occasion. I think that, you know, Halifax maybe trying to pick on her a little bit. I mean, who's to say? I probably would as well. You got to test the youth in that position. But she's demonstrating pace, and she's not stressed out about it.
No, she's doing very well to use her body and get in between the player and the ball shielding the ball out. You're seeing her use a bit of physicality, which is rare in a young player. I would say a lot of times that is the aspect of their game that you really look to develop when they first come into a professional environment or a college environment or whatever it may be. But anytime they're surrounded by older players, that physicality is where you see the drop-off in the youth and the elders. So I think that this is showing her quality as a player and just the amount of growth that she will be capable of, because we see the quality in her defending ability right now.
Substitution for Calgary. Tegan Stewart's night is over. Madison Wilson is going to come in. She's now played in 6 matches here for the Wild.
Coach Bedford and yelling and wanting them to stay organized, but picking their moments of when to go, and then that's what makes their defense so great and so capable of shutting teams down. You saw Thurton waiting for the Halifax defender to be able to take that first touch, and then she put all pressure on Framo.
Kennedy once again trying her best to force something to happen for this Halifax team, and there has to be a certain level of frustration mounting, if not already built. The independent effort has been so good from Sid Kennedy the entire evening. And you can see she's still going at it. She's going to serve this corner kick, looking to make some magic for this Halifax team, certainly willing it into existence.
I would say she's been the most consistent and dangerous for them across this entire season.
Big boot into the box. Back post opportunity for Lemire. She can't quite get on it. And an errant pass from Calgary. So Halifax able to remain in possession and will look to rebuild from the back. Erin McLeod well out of goal. She moves. Kennedy once again trying to get to the ball. Storty looked to use her body. It didn't pay off. Kennedy hits the turf. No foul called.
This 1v1 duel between Storty and Kennedy has yet to drop in intensity. You're seeing both of them apply so much intensity every single 1v1 battle.
Substitution for the Halifax Tides. Gianna Creighton's night is going to be over, and coming in relief of her is Anne Valerie Seto. Seto has played in 4 matches, no starts. She's been featured in every match except for the 2-1 loss to Vancouver on May 22nd.
She's also done very well with the minutes that she's been getting. She's been making an impact in helping them create and build up to have some dangerous opportunities created, whether that's a through ball, whether that's a switch ball, or whether she's taking the shot herself. But she's somebody that has brought a bit of that missing flame to their attack, and she's been helping to really ignite it when she's come into the pitch.
Well, and that's the thing that Lewis Page was talking about too, and it's not anything new. He's not reinventing the wheel to say, hey, I want my substitutes to come in and show themselves accordingly, add a boost, whatever it is that the character trait that you bring most to the pitch. I want to see that, and I want to see it in full force. So this Halifax side, if the starting 11 aren't able to capitalize on some of these opportunities, then it really is up to the bench to come in relief and to apply a different type of pressure to their opponents.
And I think we're going to see the utilization of subs more and more as the season progresses, and those subs getting those opportunities to potentially start, because this is where fatigue is going to start to kick in. You're already seeing so many injuries across these teams. Players who are getting big minutes not available for matchups, and that's where you have to look at the bench and say, hey, you've been performing well, you've stepped up with the minutes you've gotten, or you've been really killing it in training, and this is where the opportunity is going to be coming from. So these are big moments for subs to be able to step in, to leave their mark, and potentially get themselves a start in the next one.
Northern Super League presented by BMO. Week 8 of the NSL action. Calgary up 3-0 on Halifax. 71st minute. Trying to have a carbon copy performance of the week 2 lashing that they put on Halifax, and Aaron McLeod well in. Absolutely springing to make that save.
Here's another look at it. Gray doing so well to be able to come across and strike it from distance. I'm not too sure who got the touch on that, but Aaron McLeod making a massive save.
Yeah, good eye to see the redirect partner. Looked like it was Danielle Steer to me. And those quick reflexes from Aaron McLeod on full display. She said, yeah, I played on Team Canada for 20 years. Look me up. Nonetheless, corner kick for Calgary. Keelan Stewart on the ball. Cross comes in. Plays right back in by Calgary. 50-50 ball. McLeod wins out. Showing some aggressiveness and assertiveness, patrolling the box.
And I think that's what we need to see from McLeod. Like, I hate to say it, but I don't think she's necessarily put on a great performance so far this year. And I think that you know what she's capable of, and she is this veteran who can step out and really demand that greatness from her team and also command that box. So I think that that's what you want to see. You want to see the confidence, you want to see the leadership from her. So it's great to see her making those big saves and stepping up for her side despite being down 3 goals, because that is when you need the leadership to really come out.
Absolutely. I think you want to have that ability to breathe a sigh of relief in those moments. We're like, oh, 4-0, no. Aaron McLeod had your back. And now an opportunity to cut the lead. The ball played into the box. Blew in! And it goes right to... the opportunity coming from Halifax, and again, on the heels of that McLeod save, right? We just talked about it. She makes that save. It could be 4-0. Instead, it goes back the other way. Halifax crosses the ball, cuts it back, and capitalizes.
It sets the tone. That's what you want. Blue End has such a nice turn here, and Miller just readily available exactly where she needs to be, places that top corner. You see the frustration from Bukovic. She's just wide open there. She makes no mistake at being able to place that top corner, and we've seen Miller score. She did it recently against Vancouver. But to your point, that absolutely comes off of the momentum that Aaron McLeod starts from a big save. That's the confidence and the leadership you want from your goalkeeper, and it translates into a counterattack like that.
Sorola Miller scoring for her hometown team. She's a Halifax, Nova Scotia native. And so she cuts the lead here to 2 at McMahon Stadium. Her second goal of the season, as you mentioned, Jess. And you know, it's not a surprise for anybody who's been following her career. She's won Outstanding Offensive Player awards in university. She was part of the Memphis Tigers. And now here she's bringing her team a bit of life. Another opportunity, forcing the issue, and it's going to draw a corner kick. Those end line drives, Jess, you love from this Halifax side.
That is where they come alive. I truly think that that's where they're going to find a bunch of their success, specifically in the tactical lineup. You see Blue N again taking on Stewart and driving end line. Stewart does a really great job at being able to deflect that out. Blue N walks away with a corner. If you're not able to get the cross across the box, that's exactly what you want. Another opportunity for your team to get on the board. And we spoke about this lead, Ashley. It's 3-1 now. There's still time, and we're seeing the momentum shift a little bit into Halifax's favor. So is it over? I'm not too sure.
Did we speak too soon? Let's see what Sid Kennedy has to say about it, but that's quickly blown down by our official, Selma Flores de Roche. Little talking to Seto in the box, mixing it up, but that's exactly the energy that Halifax wants to see. Don't come in and be complacent. Come in and start forcing the issue. Start asserting yourself. One more time for Kennedy. Fremo had a chance, wide open at the top of the 6, and you can see her head in her hands. But this is a positive momentum swing for the Tides.
It's great to see them getting first to this ball and being able to create something out of it, but Fremo needs to be more clinical there. You're inside the 18-yard box, just at the edge of the 6. There's no reason you should be missing the entire net, and especially in these moments when you need a goal.
The Tides sniffing around the net, looking to cut this lead. A 2-goal lead is a dangerous one in any sport. Nakamura, she heard us talking and she said, we're not done yet. We are not done yet. Halifax within 1.
This is a fantastic goal. I was going to criticize earlier about that partnership up front and not having enough combination play between them, but that is a perfect example of when you bring two fantastic players together, their ability to create something great. You see a bit of skill here, combination play between Nakamura and Miller, and Nakamura looks up and places that like the pro that she is in that bottom right corner. Some good feet to be able to get there, and she just continues to drive forward. This is what you want from this Halifax side, and this is what we've been looking for from Nakamura. We spoke about her earlier and how she wasn't able to finish and put her team on the board in her last matchup, and she just made us quiet real quick.
Silence the crowd. Are you not entertained for Nakamura?
Love to see it.
She's playing in her 4th start this season, played a full 90 in the last 2 matches after coming off the bench twice in a row. And to your point, Jess, about Lewis Page rewarding his players for their performances, and that's got to be a big monkey off her back, if you will. We showed the misses that she had in that game against Vancouver, point blank range, and now she's able to have that nice touch and that finishing close. Bringing this game to within 1. We are not even close to being done yet.
And we know she's a very impressive player. You can see it in her ability to control the ball and her recognition of when to play a long ball, when to shoot. It was just that she was overthinking, it seemed, in those simple moments. It was almost like she was shocked that she was wide open and standing in the 6-yard box. There's no way I could be open. But thankfully today she's able to get her team on the board.
Lemire takes a crack. It's blocked by the defense. You see how many jerseys back for Calgary, almost the entire team trying to make sure that this game doesn't get tied up. You saw the team have a confab, if you will, circling up after that second goal was scored, surely trying to calm nerves, trying to refocus, and just reminder to be sharp.
This is why I mentioned you can't back down. 3-0 is a lead that you become very comfortable with. And although, you know, the odds are against Halifax to be able to come back from that, we're seeing how capable they are when they come with the right mentality, because that's what this ultimately is. We know that the quality's there, but the mentality has just been lacking a little bit in regards to their resilience. And we're seeing that resilience come alive and hopefully help them gain some confidence as this game continues and potentially tie it up.
A nice ball down the right flank by Nakamura, and it's going to be another opportunity to cross. Seto's there in the box. Nakamura rejoins. Lemire to the top of the 18. Luen unable to get the ball across. Had some time, but nice defensive checking by Calgary in those moments.
Luen has to have better recognition in those moments, knowing that there's going to be numbers around her from Calgary. She had Kennedy making that front post run for the early cross. If she would have been able to recognize that and not take the extra touch, she potentially is having Sid Kennedy run straight at that goal for a redirection. So just a little bit better decision making in these moments as the clock winds down, and knowing you need that extra goal, potentially 2, you have to be making sure that you're making the right decisions in the dangerous spots.
Miller watched intently by Storty. Fremo looking for the Meg. It goes the other way. She's able to track back, but that's going to be a free kick now for Calgary. And a yellow card booking for Eva Fremo. Lewis Page discussing his displeasure with the call.
We know that Fremo is a player, she's not unfamiliar to getting yellow cards. She's a very competitive player. She loves to go in hard to tackles. but you also saw that frustration afterwards. So I'm not too sure. I'd love to see that back, but the frustration afterwards definitely didn't help her case in refraining from getting the yellow.
To your point, it's her 3rd yellow card of the season. 2 bookings earlier on.
It's a nice turn by Sonia to evade that pressure.
Halifax seemingly put the proverbial ball in Calgary's court. They're up 1 goal, but the momentum has shifted. Can they silence Halifax and allow this crowd to erupt?
Yellow card received by Halifax as FC number 28, Ava Preamble at the 81st minute.
Gray surveying, doesn't love the looks that she's getting. Loose ball collected by Halifax, and back the other way they go. Seto. She'll look, and she finds Sid Kennedy. Meg Sorty tried to close the gap, but sheer speed allows her to recover. A quick clearance by Calgary. Fremo trying to play that ball into Miller, but a little too close to Bukovic, and she's able to pick it up and now get the ball out of her hands as quickly as possible.
I think in Fremo's defense, there's something there in it. She recognizes that there's a space, but Miller's just not quite on the same page, and that's where the ball is able to get away and go straight to Bukovic. Had Miller been on her horse earlier and recognized that Fremo was going to play that ball, there's potentially something coming out of that.
Norkis closing down the opportunity for Calgary. Tilly James steps in as well. Play on, says our official. You have a player down the right side of your screen. Looks like it might be Keelan Stewart. As Lewis Page surveys. So he got his finger caught in a door. A little bruise on his nail there. And that's unobservational.
I've been there. It's not very fun.
No.
I mean, not the door part, but just having a black finger. It was from soccer, actually.
I thought it was in your toes that you were saying.
Well, yes, that as well. I will say, got a few cleats to the foot there, but I've definitely had my nails look like that as well.
Medical staff attending to Keelan Stewart, who came on at half. Making sure that she's okay. And another substitution here for Halifax. And this is somebody that Lewis Page talked about this week. Cristobal Odoro is going to come in for Miller, whose night will be over. And, you know, he said, quite frankly, she just likes what she brings. Good player and is always willing to add a dimension.
She's somebody that is very good when she comes off the front, and she looks for that combination play. And I don't think that we've actually seen her utilize to her fullest potential yet for this Halifax side. She's a player that sometimes you see her trying to play her in behind space, and that's just not where Cristobal Odoro thrives. I've had the pleasure of playing alongside her, and I think that she's somebody that is so instrumental in making things happen when it comes to combination play and wanting players to play off of her. So I'd love to see them utilize her in the correct way, not sending her through balls. And I think between her and Nakamura up top, that would be a really exciting mixture of players to make things happen and play around this Calgary defense.
Odoro has been a starter and come off the bench. It's really rotated for her. This is going to be her 6th match played. She's had 3 games started, yet to score. no assists coming off the bench the last 2 matches, plus this one before that 3 start. So trying to find a way, as you mentioned, to utilize her in the best way possible, while trying to solve other issues with the lineup. And our official, Selma Flores de Roche, has a yellow card out, but it'll now be put away. And we have our 4th official on the sideline navigating, I guess, whatever brought that attention over to Lydia Bedford and her side.
Halifax ties FC substitution coming off the pitch.
Nakamura once again.
Onto the pitch, number 7.
One-touch cross, a fortuitous bounce off the defender, and it's going to be a corner kick as the in-arena host announces the Oduro substitution. And you see Sonia crawl onto the pitch before we'll get a little bit of a moment here to stretch her out. Seems like a cramp. Storty will give the assist. Jordy Howard seemingly to look to reason with Selma Flores de Roche.
The argument is she comes back on the pitch to delay the game, right? If she's off the pitch, they can play on.
Okay, yellow card booking for Sonia.
I will say, smart from Sonia's point of view. to
Now
throw herself
even
back
numbers
on.
here for this corner kick. Kennedy on the delivery. Ball loose in the 6. It's still in play. And finally, Bukovic got her hand on it, but this is turning tense. Tempers flaring here for both sides. And you see Oduro still trying to have a conversation as we get another look, a pile right near the goal line. You see a body hit the turf, and then in their teammates' defense, I think Halifax just reacted.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if there was intent behind that, if it looked worse than what was happening. You see Oduro very frustrated. It looks like a really hard push from Wilson, I believe. There's another look at it.
So it looks like it might be
Blue End's coming in there, but it looks like Wilson.
Wilson pushed her.
You see Oduro right away getting in her face.
Yeah.
Sonia coming to Wilson's defense. Wilson just backing up, saying she didn't do anything. But it definitely looks like there was a push there. Bluen went down hard.
Yeah, Wilson certainly is not innocent in all of this. And then, again, as you just saw, Halifax saw their teammate go down, and there you go, the booking there for Maddie Wilson for her role in all of it. I'm surprised it maybe wasn't a booking, since we've seen the card come out a number of times. It's in the box as well. That level of physicality in the 6. Thoughts?
Yeah, there was a lot of bodies going down. I'm not sure if the ref wasn't able to fully grasp what was happening and get a good view of it. But that was definitely a hard foul. There was a push there without a doubt.
Well, and if the booking was for the push in the box and there's no penalty kick awarded, that's the second close call that Calgary has had. If we rewind a little bit, the handball that Calgary got away with earlier in the match, and now here we are.
There's definitely something in that. watching that back, every time we watch it back, you see something different from a different angle, and there was a lot more physicality in that than there needed to be. But again, I think potentially the referee just wasn't able to see it as clear. Yeah, I think there was too many things going on. It was a lot of people. That's where we need the VAR, Ashley. We were chatting about it before. VAR is her best friend.
My best friend.
The fourth official has indicated there will be a minimum of 7
All right, we have 7 minutes of stoppage time added here. It's a 1-goal game. Let's set the scene. 7 minutes remaining. McMahon Stadium, Calgary up 1 goal, 3-2 over Halifax, a team that they took care of quite handily back in week 2. There are cramps on Calgary's side. This is the second player to go down and look in search of some relief. There are tempers that are flaring. This has been a heck of a performance from the Tides to dig themselves out of what seems like an insurmountable hole, but there was no quit in this group.
No, and that's what we spoke about wanting to see from them. That's what they lacked in their last matchup versus Vancouver when they were in the lead and then were down by 1 goal. They ended up losing 2-1, and they weren't able to find that resilience to fight back. And today that wasn't the case, and again, that shows the growth from game to game in this Halifax side and just how capable they are when their head is where it needs to be. But I think as the intensity rises, 7 minutes is a long time.
7 minutes is going to feel like 14, and there's a foul called there. It's going to be a free kick for Halifax. Christy Gray is going to be the player at fault, and we see a substitution. Clara Monk joining the fold here, number 88 for Calgary. She's one of the youth development call-ups for the Wild. They are using their first youth development call-up here today. She's a local Calgarian kid. Lydia Bedford saying that she comes up and practices with them every Friday after school. Service into the box, head on, no direction towards goal. And that opportunity doesn't amount to much for Halifax.
It doesn't, but we're finally seeing them bring that grittiness and that mentality to win that first ball and the initial ball, get something off of it. Blue End's not able to redirect that to keep it under the bar. She isn't able to get much of a great redirection on it, but I think that the mentality to get there in the first place is an improvement for this Halifax side.
Monk coming in for Janaea Robertson. Seto trying to chase that down just outside the 18. Lemire is able to get it. Kennedy, she'll have a go. That's deflected out wide, which is why it took that trajectory, and a corner kick here for Halifax. Could this be the moment? The last time things got very testy inside the 6. This is a pivotal moment for both sides. Kennedy, low and driven in to the 18. Not sure if that's the service that she was hoping for. Nakamura able to track it down. Right back in with the pressure, go Halifax. And they say Olai unable to keep that inbounds. Three minutes remaining in stoppage time. Talk about getting your money's worth.
It makes it exciting. This is what you want. You thought 3-0, it's over. This Calgary side is going to walk away without having to put much more effort in.
Oduro, speaking of effort, she tracks down that ball and gets it to Kennedy. 1v1 opportunity. Dishes it off to Oduro. Kennedy turns, goes end line. Storty steps in. Clutching, grabbing, no whistle. And a clearance finally by the Wild.
You see Sid Kennedy constantly on the hunt for that PK. She really wants to win that, and I think that in the moment that it is potentially a PK, she's not going to get it called because you're seeing her try it time and time again. Eventually the referee just says, nope, unless it's clear cut.
The woman who cried wolf? What's that old tale? But I'm a big fan of Sid Kennedy's game, I gotta say.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm very
not that-
guilty. I'm very guilty of trying
Crying
to win.
wolf?
Yes, absolutely, time and time again. And I will tell you, the referee has told me to get up multiple times. But you got to plead your case. So I respect the hustle of trying to win that. And she is somebody that creates so much for this side and puts her body on the line. But I just don't think that any have gone her way in this matchup in regards to winning that PK as of yet.
Any retired attacker attacking midfield, if soccer doesn't work out, sails, I think, is the move. Offside called on Halifax. We have 1 minute left in this match, and anything can happen, as has already been proven so far. 3-2 for the home side over Halifax. Halifax doubling their goal total of the season here tonight alone. So we're not ready to talk about moral victories yet because there's still time and anything can happen. Offside called on Oduro, who came from the wrong position. But Halifax, the grit, the gumption, the gall, the audacity, whatever it is that you want to say about this performance, it's something that they should be proud of in this second half.
I think now for them it's a matter of piecing it all together. We saw last matchup them come out on the front foot and be able to get on the board early, and this time we're seeing them end the game very well. We spoke about wanting to see them win this second half and bring that mentality to do so, and we're seeing that. I would absolutely say that they shifted the momentum in the second half away from Calgary.
7 minutes of stoppage time is what we were promised, and we did not get a second more. Both teams showing their admiration for each other, a hard-fought battle all the way around. Calgary now 4 games in a row without a defeat. They win this one 3-2, taking care of business against Halifax. And while you want to say that Halifax had that fight in them, they showed that resiliency. Also, Calgary, hey, came out on fire and able to stop the bleeding when it mattered.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I think that it's one thing to go up and get that lead, but it's another thing to defend it. You know, great defense wins you games. It doesn't matter how many goals you score if you're not able to defend that lead. Things are not going to go your way. So I think that it's awesome to see this growth from this Halifax side and them bringing that resilience and that fight to that final moment. But I think it's a matter of them finding the ability to do it from the first minute. And I think Calgary is a team that showcased their ability to control the play, get on the end of it, but also hold it down defensively when it was necessary to do so.
Efficiency from both sides, and honestly for Halifax, 2 goals on 3 shots on target, but 13 tries in general, which is an uptick from the offensive issues that we highlighted before this match. The possession balanced out. There was a lot of physicality, the fouls 10-7, but all in all, it was Calgary FC who were able to be clinical in those moments. Lydia Bedford saying her attackers, they go with the goalie coach at the beginning of practice for 15 minutes, so when they're in those situations, they don't panic, and that's, I think, the calmness that we saw here today.
Yeah, we saw a calmness and a confidence from them inside that 18-yard box and also outside of it. Again, you know, a screamer being scored there in the beginning by Green. But I think that these stats, the possession alone, just shows the momentum did shift in that second half. I think that Calgary did well to hold it down, but I think that Halifax really had them on their heels there, and that's exciting for them.
Calgary, as I mentioned before, they are now 4 matches in a row without suffering a defeat. They have 11 points, 3 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, plus 3. Montreal on their heels, Vancouver as well, and it's Halifax who are still trying to sort things out. Again, moral victories are what they are. It's professional sports and the women want to win, but a second half performance to be proud of and something to build upon for Lewis Page and his side.
Yeah, I think this is something that they can walk away being proud of in a sense, but at the same time, you know, this is sports. You do need points, so they do need to figure out a way to be clinical and be able to finish their opportunities and also just be consistent and bring that intensity that we saw from them and that grit to be able to win those first and second balls put them in the back of the net. I think that's key for this side to be able to get at least one win.
3 goals for Calgary, 3 different scorers. Allie Green, Janaea Robertson, Tegan Stewart on the eve of her high school graduation with her and her sister Keelan both entering the match. 3-2 the final. Calgary Wild taking it home at home. Thank you for joining us on behalf of myself, Ashley Docking, and Jessica Lisi.